The first panel of the day, I would like to invite David as a moderator. That's going to be fun. David, you have Gabriela, the CEO of SaltBank, as a panelist. You have Stefan from Kearney, and you have Panagiotis from Unzer. Guys, come on stage, and please, let's welcome them properly.
So I'm just going to get the panelists to very quickly introduce themselves to you for themselves, and then we're going to be talking about the kind of 3 to 5 year strategic view of technology. So we're going to try to help you with a more strategic focus on where we're going. But let's start down at the end. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
So I'm Panagiotis, Kriaris. Thank you for having me. Background in financial services, payments, and banking for the past many years. I'm heading corporate and business development for a company called Unzer. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Hello, I'm Gabriela Nistor, Gabi for everybody. After 27 years in banking industry, especially in retail banking, coordinating the whole area of retail banking in the largest bank in Romania, I chose the career to go and start building the first 100% digital bank here in Romania, which is SaltBank. So I'm at SaltBank now, starting with July 2022. We started the bank this April, and yes, this is the story. I will tell you later, maybe.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, good morning. So, as in the picture, my name is Stefan Marcu. I'm a partner with a consulting firm called Kearney. Kearney is a global management consulting firm. My specialty is financial services. I've been working with, particularly with banks around the world and also in Romania, helping them with multiple types of transformations, from buying other banks, integrating them, transforming their businesses, or at some point helping build completely new banks from scratch. So my view towards financial services and banking is more from an outside, but also very close partner, somebody who actually helps client develop strategic views and strategic directions and help them implement it. So it's going to be maybe less hands-on the day-to-day, but more of the strategic direction of those companies. So this is what I'm bringing to today's panel and conversation, hopefully.
Thank you. And I'm Dave. I'm developing the low-code, no-code, data-driven, AI-powered quantum blockchain in the cloud, which will revolutionize all of your lives. So now audiences don't like it when people have like prepared scripts and PR and marketing. You're intelligent, experienced professionals. They want to know what you really think about things. But please just confirm to everybody, we haven't spoken. You have absolutely no idea what I'm going to ask you.
True.
Correct. So you're going to get honest opinions from people who very kindly agreed to come on stage to share them with you.
Or unprepared.
No, but that's what but they're bored with hearing PowerPoint bullets and PR. They want your real opinions. You're experienced. So I'm going to start by asking you just, very high level, very general question. If we're talking about the 3 to 5 year horizon, that is the strategic horizon, not tomorrow morning's panic, what's the dominant technology in that 3 to 5 year horizon in your view? Give us a strategic perspective.
Well, that's a really cool question, and I'm actually going to start by not talking about technology. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, you're on the wrong panel.
I know. At the end, every bit of technology is going to be successful or not, depending on the people that you actually have working with you in those teams, in those companies, and so on. So technology is an ever-evolving field, and by the way, what has happened in the last 1 or 2 years is quite different than what was happening 5 years ago, and I'm pretty sure that in 2 years from now we're going to have a completely, maybe not a completely different playing field, but you're going to have even more innovation in the field of technology. So it's, for me, from a strategic point of view, is how do we actually prepare our companies and our teams to deal with technology and take it forward and make it valuable for our clients. So when I'm actually thinking about what's going to be the most pressing thing on people's minds, particularly managers, CEOs, leaders of business for the next couple of years is, first of all, how do you take all the technology that is coming and is hitting you every day, and how do you embed it in your business? And particularly, how do you get your teams to be able to do that?
Yeah.
And
What would
that's
be-
the biggest question that I'm actually dealing with every day. So it's not the abundance of technology or the pieces of technology or the type of technology, but how do we actually take it, use it, scale it up, and make it actually a viable offering to our clients?
What would be an example of a technology we're thinking about now that we weren't thinking about 5 years ago? That's an interesting point, so let's just explore that. Can you
What
think
we
of-
see already today, but I think it was also 5 years ago, I think it was, but it's cloud-based, scalable, reliable technology. We are building now these new neobanks that are raising now in the world, in the whole world, and we can see the new technology becoming
I think
more
the
and more
Amazon guy is
used.
going to tell us. I mean, we had the cloud 5 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I don't think cloud's a good example. I mean, cloud we had 5 years ago. Think of something we didn't have 5 years ago. Help.
So 5 years ago, there was the Gen AI discussion is something that is happening now, right? So the discussion, how do you integrate this? Because 5 years ago, we used to have the predictive AI. And now everyone is talking about Gen AI. So there is a bit of a hype, there is a bit of a potential. I think it's the first time that we see things changing because of Gen AI. So one of the discussions, I mean, if you think about things that were not existing 5 years ago, I would say this is one. But then other things that are below, let's say the cloud, you mentioned the cloud is an enabler, right? Digitization, the banks have been digitizing forever. Now the question is, for example, if you look at the space, how do they go from the digital transformation and then they add AI on top? And the question is, okay, is what I have done so far enough or not? And then there is also a very big change management element to this, so the human element.
Yes, but sorry, I wanted also to add here that it's not only, again, as Stefan said, it's not only about the technology in itself, but how you build the organization around the technology, because it's so important what you build on top of it. It's so important how people perceive the technology, what kind of people, what kind of capabilities you need now. So I'm not sure it's only about technology that appears or not.
No, but this panel is about technology.
Yeah.
No, we agree. I mean, and we're looking at technology, but we're looking at technology also from a business perspective. But coming back to maybe to your question, you're looking at, okay, what do we have right now and what could be in the next 5 to 10 years? So I think Sergio's earlier presentation was the slide with where are we, for example, in the AI field, which is still actually in infancy. So we're talking about, we're actually not that far away from what was Turing basically imagining 70 years ago, or even more than that. We went the next step forward with the Gen AI. Now, one will actually get maybe to general intelligence. That's probably something that you're looking for the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe not that quick, but maybe we'll get there. We talked about quantum computing, which is going to be a big revolutionary thing for computing. We're discussing, stuff around blockchain, which is a thing already for like 10 years, potentially on the market.
Is that still a thing, blockchain?
It is, because it's not yet utilized to the way it should be, or it could be. So it's one of those technologies that appeared for a while, but it still needs to get mature, I would say, at least in terms of commercialization. So there's a bunch of technology coming towards us. And not only technology, but also technological trends. I mean, it's so much easier and so much faster to code, for example, these days with the help of additional tools. What it took us, I don't know, months or years to code in the past, it takes us so much less time these days. I mean, programmers can do stuff so much faster.
Let me ask the question in a slightly different way to press you harder on these things. So your customers, your new bank, it's fantastic, I'm certain. But your customers don't know whether you're using the cloud or not. Your customers don't know whether you're using a blockchain. Your customers don't know whether you're quantum resistant or not. I mean, it doesn't make any difference to them. What makes a difference to customers?
In fact, the customers, they don't know what is behind,
Right.
but they can feel the difference. And they can really perceive this when they, I don't know, do a transaction, when they interact with the app. So we don't have any branch. Our bank is the app we have today. So everything we do there, it's about us and how we build the relationship with customers. And they can perceive the difference. So this is, I think, very important for customers now, how you build the experience of the customers in the app and around everything which is there.
I mean, apps, I mean, obviously we're moving towards app-centric, mobile-centric. I mean, that's been going on for 20 years. But apps, when you add things like artificial intelligence, they become a very different thing, don't they? I mean, the apps that we're thinking about in 3, 4, 5 years' time, those are going to be different from the apps we have now, I think. Am I too technology-focused?
I think the customer can feel that it's very personal to him or her. And I think you can build very connected experience around a specific experience of the customer.
It is changing already. I mean, what you mentioned is actually reality today.
Yeah.
So I was, fun fact. I wanted to read an article yesterday, and I downloaded a new app of the Washington Post, which, fun fact, is connected to Amazon through they have the same owner.
It's owned by the same guy, isn't it?
Yeah. So actually, if you're trying to do, and more companies do that, I was actually looking for an article, but what Washington Post actually made available for clients was, hey, here is our AI tool. Probably it's an Amazon tool. You can actually ask us about any topic you want, and we're going to use all the historical articles of Washington Post to come up with an answer for your question. And they will also give you all the bibliography behind. So from that perspective, I was looking for a product, and I was getting was an answer, which is a significantly more educated, theoretically answer. Now, it's in infancy, but you can imagine that a lot of these applications, including banking applications, might end up in that direction. You might be able one day to just inquire your banking app, or maybe it's integrated in whatever device, and you can just say, I want to buy a new car, can I afford it, and how do I do that? And maybe you'll get the full option of list of options that you can do.
So do you think?
So it will get there. I'm sure it will.
That's a really good example. So in 5 years' time, will your customers be using an app at all? Or will your customers just be telling the phone, the glasses, the goggles that we were just shown? In 5 years' time, there won't be an app. Your customers will just say, can you send some money to so-and-so? I need a loan until Saturday. What's a good mortgage deal? I mean, will the customers even use an app?
I don't know if in 5 years or not, but for sure we will see a lot of differences in the future comparing with what is now. But in the end, it's everything related also to customers' emotions. Because what I noticed, when a customer is not sure about something and he becomes anxious, he needs some human support. So we are going with this parallel development with technology and this AI, which in the future can go to, conversational transactions, for example, which can be easier for customers. But also, when customers really need support, he needs to go back and
I'm a typical customer, wouldn't you say? I mean, I'm a normal, average customer. And when I go on the app, because I want to do something, and it says, oh, you have to call the bank, I'm like, oh my God, that's the last thing I want to do is talk to somebody about this. I just want to press a button and have it done. Do you really think people want to talk to people?
Yes, I saw what we have done here, and I really think that, yes, you need a button to push and to solve a problem, but when you really need support, because maybe you don't know what to do,
That's possible.
you need to speak with someone and you feel more comfortable because you
Do you
become anxious.
Now, you keep talking about emotions, and I keep talking about quantum computers. Do you think maybe we'll need different banks for men and for women in the future?
No, I don't think so.
You don't- you
But
think
who
they'll be
knows?
All right, look, let's talk about some more. I want to understand what you're doing with the technologies in 5 years' time. Okay, I'll give you a couple of examples. I'm not saying which I think will be it, but I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. I want to see your responses to them. So we were just shown the Apple goggles. Facebook announced their new glasses a few weeks ago. What do you think about the whole kind of smart glasses, AI-powered glasses? Does that have a role in banking? You look skeptical.
No, I mean, I don't think it's a smart glasses discussion, to be honest. I think we need to take a step back. So to understand the technologies, I think you need to understand what are the needs. And let's take a very simple example, banking and payments. So today, the main question around banking, is new business models and what we call mass personalization, mass customization. And the question is, how do you deliver this? So you have, on the one hand side, it's a controversy. So you have mass, and on the other hand side, you have customization. And then you have new business models like you have the platforms, you have embedded finance, and you have all these kinds of stuff. And the question is, what is the technology behind that is going to enable this? And for me, to be honest, it's not smart glasses. So if you look at the technologies behind, one is the data, it's the data analytics. Now you have AI, meaning that is the way for you to convert data to be clever. And then, so that's one thing that is happening on the banking side. You have things like, how do you embed your products in platforms? So we need to see what are the technologies behind, and then you mentioned cloud. And cloud is an enabler for doing this. So these are basic stuff. I don't know, in 3-5 years' time, it's not going to be futuristic, right? I don't think there's going to be huge changes versus today. I think organizations need to be able to do the simple stuff. And if you talk about data, if you talk about advanced analytics, if you talk about how do you implement the cloud, if you talk about how do you integrate AI to your organization, these are things that take time. So for me, it's about being in a position to use these technologies as an enabler in the organization to deliver added value for the clients on the banking side.
But isn't one of the biggest problems in banking, in fact, one of the biggest problems in retail financial services, is fraud and security, because you don't know who anybody is. One of the crucial points about the smart glasses is, like with the Apple, when you put the smart glasses on, they do the retina scan, the iris scan, they know who you are. So don't the smart glasses solve one of the biggest problems in banking?
But they have failed once, smart glasses.
What?
They have failed once, smart glasses.
The Google ones?
Yes, of course.
Do you agree? You think Mark Zuckerberg's wasting his time on these glasses?
I think, and again, I'm going to come back maybe with a more of a business-centric, human-centric view on technology. So, if you go back to what exactly is banking, and what is banking been doing for the last close to 1,000 years, and what is even doing right now, you go back to mainly 2 or 3 activities, which is provide the trust medium where people can do transactions. And 2 is maybe collect and then distribute capital in different forms. And then the question back to, and these are the main activities that the bank was doing and still doing. Today they have so much more stuff that they need to do, mainly from a regulatory perspective. But if you go back and say, if I want to do is provide people with a third-party medium which provides me the trust to deal with somebody else on one hand, and then it's a party that basically can distribute, I can have access to capital through them, then what is technology going to be doing for me as a person? So then everything else, which is things like, I don't know, imagine the glass that you just mentioned, or the phones and so on, they're just mediums for that, and they can evolve in time. I'm not particularly married to the idea of the apps or the device, if it's a glass or if it's a phone. It's actually relevant for the moment. It's not really relevant for the long-term viability of these businesses. So the question is, what is the problem that it's solving? How is that adding value to the client?
So if you have the blockchain to provide the trust, what do the banks do? What's the point of a bank if you have the trust provided somewhere else?
Yeah, I think we can have a conversation about the whole blockchain and how do you build trust and what is how is trust built actually? What is actually trust? We can have a philosophical conversation about what is trust. Just because you said that the blockchain is potentially a technology that would offer the distributed ledger thing and everybody can does everybody in this room trust it? Trust is actually I'm not sure it's an emotion, but it's a state of in a relationship that is built over a long period of time. I think it's going to take blockchain a relatively long time to get to the same level of trust that some of the other institutions built. So I'm not sure that this is going to replace everything immediately. Now, by the way, blockchain is on the market for how long now? 20 years?
Yeah, no, it's not my opinions. I'm curious about your opinion.
No, but I'm looking at like if it's 20 years on the market, and do we actually have a lot of distributed ledger transactions happening other than crypto?
Well, ransomware, that's going quite well.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, I'll give you another one. What about? Oh, sorry.
Regarding glasses, in fact, I don't think we know if they will be successful or not. We have seen in the past example with glasses. We have seen example with, I don't know, rings, to pay with the ring in different at different devices. We don't know if they will be or not successful. If we speak about trust, in the meantime, banks or we try to find solutions in our app, and even simple solutions somehow can be very relevant sometimes. For example, giving a card to people without any name on the card, without any data, relevant data on the card, or different simple things in order to increase security for customers, because you said, discussed about fraud.
Yeah, no, actually, I think you're illustrating a really interesting point there, because I think one of the trends that we might see in the 3 to 5 year period, particularly with European consumers, is an increased focus on privacy. It could be that we're getting to the point where privacy becomes part of the upfront customer proposition and not part of the sort of back office hygiene factor.
I totally agree, and I think this will be very important, especially in the future. And when I speak about people anxiety, it's also about things related to, I don't know, fraud or security, and how a bank or a digital bank, or not only digital banks, a fintech or a bank, can increase the level of security or features that follow this pillar. I think it will be very important.
I think privacy technology could be a really big change. But doesn't this put the banks at even more of a disadvantage with big tech? Because Apple has already implemented quantum-resistant encryption in iMessage. This week, they announced they're launching homomorphic encryption on device. I mean, they're putting into place like strong privacy technologies, and the banks at the moment have, I don't know, use a longer password or whatever the bank thing is at the moment, or don't tell people your PIN when we phone you up and that kind of stuff. That's not going to compete with big tech building a privacy infrastructure, right?
I mean, everyone will have to stick to the same rules, banks and big tech. And we see this in Europe, for example. Now, to your point of privacy and security becoming features, I agree this is the case. If you look at PSD3, if you look at open finance around the globe, you have this dashboard kind of point of view where the consumers are able to control many things that they were not able to control before. So they're going to see stuff. On the other hand side, banks, they might be at a disadvantage versus big tech, but for a different reason. Because the name of the game now is moving to at the end of the day, is the customer relationship, is who is controlling the customer. And now with the platforms and the embedded finance and all this kind of stuff, you have banks potentially moving to the background and other players servicing the customers.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
my view is that this is the real danger for the banks. are they going to be able to keep the customer relationship or just become dumb pipes behind the scenes?
What do
And
you
the
think about that?
technologies are...
If the privacy and security can be provided by the front end, by big tech, then banks just become, what, pipes? They just become a back office?
Well, that's an interesting conversation. By the way, I have the exact same opinion. I don't think banks and big tech are actually competitors with each other. We had this conversation more than, 15 years ago, when everybody was thinking, Apple is going to get into banking, what's going to happen? So I think that is clarified right now. Are banks going to become just a utility? Is the question, basically, just collect money, distribute money in a very regulated environment, maybe with a regulated way of doing business and margins. I don't actually believe that, because I think every business, including banking, is adapting quite a bit. I actually do believe in the value of human connection. I think, and if you're looking at actually some of the more successful banks in terms of actually financial results, are those banks that manage to still build a human-to-human relationship, not just a human-to-technology relationship. So the question is going to be, how are they going to evolve and continue on that trend and keep an actual relationship with the client? Technology is going to be just part of it. At the end, you'll still need the human-to-human trust, not for everything, but for a bigger relationship. I actually believe in that, not for everything.
People yesterday talked a couple of times about stable coins, CBDCs, this kind of thing. If you look at the growth, like if you look at the actual numbers, and not what people talk about, the growth is stable coins. If it turns out that for most people in Romania, let's say everyone uses Revolut, right? They have a bank, but they all use Revolut. So let's suppose all of a sudden they can store their US dollar stable coins in Revolut. Everybody would use US dollars. Everybody. If everybody is using US dollars with stable coins, what's your bank going to do? I mean, what does the bank do in those circumstances?
What we're discussing right now, how are banks going to manage? Let's imagine that the stable coins is an investment product, because I cannot call it. We can discuss what are those right now. Are banks going to be able to replicate or be able to be a medium for investment in stable coins via USD? I mean, yes. I mean, you'll still have to function in the European market or in the UK market, and you'll still need to be able to buy your vegetables. And unfortunately, unless everybody's going to accept stable coins, that's not going to be basically very easy. You still need to use the whatever currency you have locally. And on top of that, even if everybody is going to accept at some point the stable coins, somebody's going to have to, help you manage a lot of these transactions, your finances, and so on. So there is still a need.
That would just be a smart contract, right? You don't need a bank for that, or emotion.
But I actually, I don't believe that everything is going to be a smart contract. Maybe if you take a very long view on it and say, at one point in time, there's going to be no need for local banks, for banks in general. Everything is going to be on a distributed ledger. Everything is going to be stable coins. All the financial advising, if we're still going to have finance, is going to be done by an automatic machine and so on. Maybe everything is going to be so automatic. But we're so far away from there. I mean, if we want to imagine what's going to be the future in 100 years from now, maybe we can go there. But I'm not sure, if this is something that's just going to come up in the next 5 to 10. I think we're pretty far away from that.
Let's talk about a couple more 5-year technologies. Again, not technologies we have right now, but technologies for 5 years' time. So Mr. Musk is putting chips in people's heads, right? And he's a billionaire. You should listen to him. No, don't listen to me. I'm not a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He thinks putting chips in people's heads is the next. And I'm not one to disagree with him necessarily. I mean, what about these new kinds of interfaces? Can you imagine people having chips and just thinking about financial services?
I've read recently something related to how in the future the custobots will have the decision to buy things instead of people, and what it will be that each real human being to have an AI behind him taking decisions for him. So
I'm certain that's true.
I don't.
I don't
yeah.
think that's speculative. I think you're absolutely correct. That's
Yes, I'm not
100%.
sure if in 5 years or not. To me, 5 years, it's a very short period, but who knows? But at least the appearance of these bots who will have the decision to buy directly different things for people or organization, I think that they will be. In fact, I think till 2030, they said that we will have millions of this kind of bots buying
No,
things.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
But in 5 years' time, that means for people who are entering financial services, because they won't care about banks, they don't care about the brand of your bank or the bank, they will choose the brand of the bot. So they will choose, like, I want the Greta Thunberg bot, which will invest in, green things and whatever. And you would, like me, you want the Warren Buffett bot that makes the best investments possible. And somebody else wants, like, the Elon Musk bot. But the bank just won't be part of that decision.
I mean, essentially what we are talking about is that financial services are moving in the background.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they're going to disappear. It's not the case. But many decisions that we are taking today are going to be replaced. So the bots, the agents, all this stuff is about replacing a large part of the decisions that we do today. We are still going to be, at the end of the day, behind the decisions, but we're going to be delegating some of them to technology. And you're going to be able to decide, for example, I'm going to be able to have my dashboard, and I'm going to be able to control my privacy, I'm going to be able to control the level of security, and I'm going to be able potentially to have an agent and saying, okay, please, if A, B, C, D happens, then please do that. And then they're going to be able to do that. And I'm going to be able to still see stuff in my app if I want to do stuff. And the big question there is, how do you control things? How do you make sure that things don't get out of control? So what I have, let's say, what I have defined in the algorithm is still the case.
Yeah.
So this is the big challenge for me.
That
So
is
things
the
are
part
moving.
in the model in
Yes.
itself.
So things are moving in the background, and in payments, for example, I think this is the most advanced segment where we see things today moving in this direction. It's very, very clear. They are not disappearing. They're moving in the background. We do things. We don't realize that we do things. I take a taxi. I'm using, for example, Uber. A payment is done. I get off the taxi. I don't even realize that things are happening.
Let's finish by helping the people in the audience. So I think you could say that I'm wrong, but I think I have the numbers approximately right. So for most European banks of a certain scale, roughly 90% of the IT budget goes into existing products and services, keeping the lights on, running the ATMs, so on. Only about 10% of the spend is available for discretionary investment. Of the 10% that's available for discretionary investment, almost all of that goes into compliance. So probably 90% of that goes into compliance. So in reality, banks only have a very small amount of money for the more speculative investments in technology. Banks, they have big technology budgets, but when you look at how much they can spend on real innovation, it's actually very limited. So your suggestion for the people in the audience, that small amount of discretionary spend, which technology should they be playing with to be ready in 5 years' time? Let's say blockchain.
No, I'm not. But bankers are getting smarter. I'll tell you why. I know some of the people in the panel, specifically Gabi, for many, many years. And you said exactly that there is so little budget for discretionary spending or doing the next step. And we used to work together with Gabi in a different bank called BT. And BT's approach to that was like, we cannot deal with the 1% of the budget. We're going to create a completely new bank from scratch. And we was like, okay, we're going to take a bunch of money and a bunch of people, and we tell them, build a completely new bank for the future. Very different. Maybe one day you're going to cannibalize us. And here comes the next bank. So they might do that. And I actually trust there is enough smart people in banking to evolve their business models. And maybe even create those AIs which help you. They're probably going to do that as well. They're going to put money behind the next generation of banking. That's what I think is going to happen.
Please.
We already put the money in the right place in terms of technology, I would say. So we don't have that 70% going to, or even more going to maintenance of the existing or legacy systems. The advice would be, yes, go and create a new platform or a new project or a new entity based on new technologies, choosing the right partners. Do start these things if you didn't start till now. But if you have just a little portion of money, invest them in very useful use cases of AI. I think they should be taken step by step, not everything at once. You have to digest first each use case you implement and start learning from this.
So would you have a chip in your head if it came from Apple, not from Elon Musk? Would that change your mind about this? No, because people have trust in, because Apple are spending a lot of money on making privacy part of their...
Somehow we are wearing chips outside our body.
You're a very conservative bank if you're not putting chips in people's heads. So what was your...
So let me answer your question. I think there is
briefly,
one...
please, because we are running out of time.
Yes,
Thank
I'll
you,
be
Bana.
very short.
Thank you, Bana.
So, and I'll be very specific as well. So one thing, a very simple thing. So banks, they need to become API-based. Not everyone is. Many say, but not everyone is. So they should be able to be really API-based. That's one. And the second thing is that data analytics. They should be betting on data analytics, and they should be betting on making data clever. So once you have the layer of data analytics, then AI is a natural kind of partner for making this happen.
A lot of banks don't have the data to use AI yet.
Yeah, so the first...
Sometimes the boring plumbing stuff is what's really...
That's the basis, but they have to get there.
Talking about the boring plumbing.
No, I know. We have to finish.
No. But I wanted to ask Sergio, because what he presented before you guys is very interesting and it's very related. So, what's your reaction to what they've said, and to the last question of David? What you see? What would be the technology they should invest, given that you are in that field?
Well, I'm.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think one important thing is to understand that technology does not disrupt by itself. It's only a massive change of user behavior that comes with the disruption. And that happens, I'm using my hat as a strategy change, whatever lecture. The way this actually happens is when you have a massive increase in benefit that the technology gives, and at the same time, you have an ecosystem that is compatible with that change. So you look at blockchain and all the discussion around the blockchain. Yeah, you have a benefit. The benefit is not that massive for the large majority of the use cases that can do well with centralized as opposed to DeFi. And at the same time, you have an entire ecosystem that is coordinated, that is, system for many governments, that is kind of blocking it from access to the mainstream. So we are going to see a long, slow change. On the other hand, you have things that are accelerated, like the stable coins that you mentioned, David. You have some things that are accelerated. And this whole wave of things that are accelerated by everybody using them, the APIs, everything that is compatible API, can actually fit in and connect much faster. So I think the key is to anticipate the right incremental technology transformation that the market and the current technology systems are compatible with and ready to adopt in order to build what will become the financially successful change in 2-3 years, because that's the only kind of change that will get financing.
Yeah.
What do you think, David?
So you would have a chip if it was from Apple?
I do drink Pepsi.
Listen,
and my Romanian colleagues would understand.
Listen, my comments were genuine. They didn't know what I was going to ask them. They gave you their honest opinions from a perspective of real professional knowledge and expertise, and I greatly valued listening to them. I hope you did too. Thank you very much.
It was amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to our panelists.